these kind of conversations, Danielle and I have had a lot of them with different people in the last few weeks where, to give you an example, somebody would say, so I got this idea about, creating better wastewater management in third world countries, because ultimately that's at the roots of some of these challenges in the world, that and clean water. And well, you probably wouldn't be interested in it. Me and Danielle are like, dude, send me that documentary. I want to watch that thing. Like, these are the things I'm actually curious about, because it just gets me to think outside of like what I believe is even possible. And then when I shift that to me, I see as part of the evolution. But the other side of it too is just wrapping this all around the idea of death, like physical death and grief. And that's where I was going with my publishing of the podcast about mental health and suicide, and like having to reframe this whole idea of death. And then naturally I'm like, well, I don't have the answer to this. I don't know what the hell happens. I'm still here. I haven't died yet. So I just start listening and searching for different, just feedback loops on like, what does it mean to die? And one of the things that landed for me recently was this Dr. Zach Bush speaking about death being the ultimate upgrade. And in fact, I just clipped out a little piece of that from my last podcast, and I think I published it. Yeah, I published it today, actually. And that to me just got me to think full circle loop, like going back even to this COVID conversation. My cousin is an EMT. So he drives an ambulance where for the last 2 years, he's been taking seniors in old age homes to the ICU. So he has a perspective and a view of the world that is filled full of death. Like, it's literally what his life is every single day. He sees death every single day. And I've seen some of his opinions about like just what we're dealing with in the world right now around restrictions and health and all that kind of stuff, and science, trust the science, and everything in between. And I found myself getting triggered by it. I was like, oh, dude, like, I get it. I support the doctors and the nurses too, but like, can't you see? And then I had to step back and go, wait a second. What is the underlying root here of the fear that's coming out of him? And then I thought, oh, is he scared of death? Does he look at death as a negative thing? What if I was to go down this rabbit hole of discovering, does death mean like death? Like, do we just become blackness and, disappear into the dirt? Or is there something more? And then that, just kind of rooting it back to what you were saying, that's what ultimately gets me excited to think about the idea of eternal existence and evolution, and not feel the angst of like, but I just want something to aspire to that I can achieve. It's more like, no, I'm okay with whatever there is on the other side of this. Even if I don't know the answer, I'm just going to curiously seek it out and be okay with not knowing. Does that make sense? I know I was kind of
Totally.
rambling on about that, but
Makes tremendous sense. I think the root of so much of the fear that has gripped the world over the last couple of years stems from a lack of peace with death. And I think for an awful lot of people, particularly in the West, where we have created a great deal of separation between ourselves and the reality of death. I mean, used to be that when a family member died, you were probably part of the group of people that dug the hole to bury them in, quite literally. When we've really separated ourselves from those experiences. And, at the same time, you've seen a walk away from religions of all kinds, which tend to have a lot to say about what happens when we die. And none of us knows. I have my beliefs. I have faith, which is basically just believing without knowing. And I don't know. I won't be able to come back and tell you what happens. I hope it won't be for a long time anyway. But what I can tell you is this, that the faith and belief in the things that I believe in give me an awful lot of peace about it. And I also understand that there aren't any guarantees. Like this whole idea that, okay, we're facing this pandemic and that it's somehow a new risk yes, it's got a new name, but we've all been at risk of dying from the day we were born. And there has never, I joke sometimes. We're not guaranteed tomorrow, but that isn't actually the accurate statement. The accurate statement is we're not guaranteed 5 minutes from now. Like, we could hang up from this call and one of us have a heart attack, and that's that. And the world will continue to exist without us. And so, I think to approach this from the perspective of complete and utter fear is a really sad place to be. To me, that's how the evil wins. I mean, to me, that is the evil. It's fear, right? And ultimately, it's fear of death. If you get to a place where you're at peace with your life or your death, do I want to die? No. I'd love to live to 139. I'm very sincere about that. Do I think that I will? I have no idea. There's some medical miracles out there. It could happen. But if I do or if I don't, it doesn't matter, because all you can do is live now.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed that clip and you want to watch the full unedited episode, go ahead and click over here. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe. It really does mean a lot to me. Thanks so much.